live from the Steel Twins recording studio in beautiful Traverse City, Michigan. It's your boys, the Cannonball, the Cannon, the Steel Twins. Happy Wednesday, everybody! Yay! We're so glad that you're able to join us. We couldn't wait to get started. We got all of our voice checks out of the way. We've got all of our hardware issues figured out. I mean, we didn't have any to start with, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. But I'm the Cannonball. This is the Cannon. We are the Steel Twins. And in case you don't know what's going on, this is voice acting.
You bet it is, Sheriff.
So what we do, just in case you guys are brand new to this and you're watching this for the very first time, what we do is we take video games that have a lot of dialogue in them and we play them. And we give the characters their own voices. It really works well if it's text-based dialogue. I mean,
yes.
if there's already voice acting going on, that's different. Although we might have some projects in the future. I'm just thinking this as we're doing this. We might do something where we take the audio, like the voice acting out of a game, and try to dub in what they're saying ourselves.
Maybe.
like something like either completely off the wall or just try to match the script as much as possible. But who knows? But right now, though, we are stuck and glad to be stuck with the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. And if you've been following us for any period of time, our old friend Ryunoske Naruhodo is a defense lawyer, and he is in the middle of the trial of his life this week, defending Gina Lestrade against the charges of murder. Yep, a pawnbroker, Mr. Pop Windebank, has been murdered, and Gina Lestrade, the 15-year-old street urchin, a pickpocket, has been named the prime suspect. So, but obviously she didn't do it. So the question is, who did? So last we left you guys, Ryunoske Naruhodo was able to successfully turn the minds of the jurors in his summation examination, and now the Skulkin Brothers must testify further about what they did and what they saw that night. Because let me tell you, folks, some of the worst liars we've ever seen.
Yep.
So,
but if you thought we had fireworks last week, just wait till we get to the discussion, a little bit of further discussion tonight.
Yep. And also, do not forget. Just stick around. We might not be able to get to the end of the trial today, but the very tip top end of this case will wrap up so many ends and odds together. It's just going to be tremendous. It's going to be spectacular.
And if we can't finish it tonight, we will finish it next week.
Well, that's what I was saying. Stick around, kids.
Yeah.
So, one piece of business we got to take care of. We always do this. If you have a beverage with a pin or a cap, whatever you got to do, twist that cap or pull that pin. Hey, Cannon, what time is it?
It's time to get bombed.
Cheers to you as well.
Cheers, mate. Yes, sir.
Hits the spot.
You bet.
All right.
This is our crack.
Yep. It's very, very addicting. So let us get started. I can't wait. So
yeah. Okay.
What? So you see,
no, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was just saying. We have an update.
Yeah, we got.
Well, hey, I'm glad we got to this. So we'll go back to. Well, I better hope that. We better hope that the system, that the audio is synced. I am so glad we got. I'm so glad we did this. So anyway, while we're waiting on that, okay. So
okay.
What
about that?
Okay, that audio.
Okay, yeah, that all signals.
Take it easy, package. I got this.
Kursfraba.
Yes, let those calming thoughts come into your circle. Raba. Why don't we check to see if there's a software update? Okay, there is none. We shall go forward. So let's try this again. Yep. Let us try this again.
You beg a pardon.
Yeah, you better get it out and get it all out, because we gotta dive headfirst into this.
Yeah, not only that, my vocal cords have got to be in full gear.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he's got some highs, he's got some lows, and he's got some in-betweens. So, all right. Maybe we ought to stick to water.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I would have to say it.
Hey, by the way, don't know if you guys can tell, but tonight's episode is also brought, not officially, but, I'm supporting GT Games, Grand Traverse Games in this. So if you're local to the Traverse City area, Grand Traverse Games has everything that you need, modern and retro, and as well as they have pop vinyls, they have Magic the Gathering cards, board games, all kinds of stuff. So give them a look out. Yeah. So without any further ado, without any further plugging, let us continue the adventure of the unspeakable story.
Keep your head up and your ass down. It's go time.
I thought it was face down, ass up.
Right.
Okay. Well, whatever it is, keep on your toes. You got to keep on your toes. Toes, that is.
Mm-hmm.
So we are back in the Old Bailey. Order, please. Let us resume proceedings. Witnesses, you will now retake the stand. Now, remember, these are the Skulkin Brothers, Nash and
Ringo.
And, of course, Inspector Gregson is watching over them, because they're troublemakers. I presume you've heard the Defense Counsel's Summation Examination.
Oh, yeah, Governor.
I did, Gov. I did. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. God, limey! This is gonna be hard work.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Earlier in this trial, you gave the following testimony about your actions after you entered Windibanks.
Well, it was Bedlamson Airs, weren't it?
It was, Nash. It was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes out me Lucy lockets. These guys. However, that was a lie. Your brothers.
God, limey!
On the night in question, you rifled through the items on the victim's counter.
We never done nothing of the sort. How'd you figure that out?
You will now give formal testimony once again. You will tell the court precisely what happened on the night in question. And this time, you will tell the truth.
Each lie that passes your lips serves to increase the severity of your punishment. And that, gentlemen, may deal a crushing blow to your chances of ever seeing the light of day again. A thought worth pondering, perhaps.
Say no more, Gov, we hear you.
We'll blab, we'll squeak, we'll peach. Peach or preach? Whatever.
Whatever.
Start talking, you goofs.
Illegal entry, the whole truth. Alright, we did knock a few things over, but we weren't rifling for nothing.
It was when we heard the gunshots, eh? Made us both jump and all that stuff went flying.
Not me. It didn't half give me a fright. We was thinking the shooter'd come out the door and get us next.
We stuck everything back where we found it and scalped. Straight to him in the black.
We couldn't have shot the pawnbroker, see? We never even had a chance, did we?
Yeah, we'll see about that.
So you admit to the defense's accusation. You did indeed ransack Mr. Windibank's countertop on the night in question.
Not ransack, Governor, no.
That's right, Nash. That's right. It's more like we tied it up. Yeah. Sorry.
By their own admission, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery under dubious circumstances. However, they panicked and fled on hearing the gunshot, having first made good their mess.
What you saying? You hardly sound like roughs at all.
We don't, Nash. We don't. Can't you make us sound a bit more cutthroat? It can't just be coincidence that these men showed up at Windibank's that night. There's more to their testimony than meets the eye. I'm sure of it. Of course there is. Cross-examination time. Let's go.
Illegal entry, the whole truth. Right, we did knock a few things over, but we weren't rifling for nothing.
Hold it! If that's the case, then why didn't you testify to that effect in the first place?
Well, you know, we ain't exactly squeaky clean, are we?
We ain't, Nash. We ain't. If we admitted to something like that, people would think we was up to no good.
Well said, Ringo, me old China. We don't land ourselves in even more trouble.
And in fact now, as a result of lying in your previous testimony, that's exactly what you've done. Landed yourselves in even more trouble. That's rotten luck. Says the rotten apple eater.
Witnesses, explain your actions to the court. Why did you ransack the victim's counter?
We never ransacked nothing.
Right, Nash, right. More like we tidied the place up. Sorry. It was when we heard the gunshots, see? Made us both jump and all that stuff went flying.
Hold it!
Hold it! So what you're saying is, the sound of the gunshot shocked you so much, you knocked all those things off the counter?
Well, it shocked one of us that much, yeah. This bag of nerves needs to learn to keep his shirt on.
Look, it was loud, all right? Blimey, me dead granny would have woken up with that bang.
Big brother here screamed like a blooming baby and fell over on the counter. He knocked over a load of books, counselor, gets a skull, whatnot.
I got tangled in some marionette. What knocked over a picture frame? What knocked them scales on the floor? You've really mastered working quietly then. What a racket. Me granny would have been scared back into her grave after a clatter like that.
Add a clatter.
Yeah. So in short, the gunshot took you by surprise.
And then some. I mean, it was quiet as a mouse, and then all of a sudden, bam! Is that late?
Excuse me. Inspector Gregson, do you have something to add?
Like I keep saying, I don't appreciate being lumped in with these scoundrels.
No, something to add about their testimony. You seemed to react just now at what Mr. Skulkin said. Did it make you think of something?
It's probably not in the course. I wouldn't even bother to mention it, only... Well, the fact is, cases don't get solved if you ignore the little details.
How about you just tell us what's on your mind?
As you know, we brought these fellas into the yard for questioning last night, and the statement they gave them told a slightly different story to what they're saying now.
Hey?
Dad, you claimed you heard the victim shout something out before the gunshot.
Might have, Gov. Might have. Does ring a bell now you mention it.
Granted, it's only a minor detail, but still, you can't help feeling like perhaps you've been a bit sloppy with your testimony here, eh, fellas?
If I discover the witness's testimony has been any more sloppy than it has hitherto proven to be, I shall be forced to bring the very harshest punishment to bear against them.
Easy, easy!
We'll get it right this time.
That's it! Yep, it's all coming back to me now. Then speak! Supplement your testimony with whatever details have miraculously returned to your questionable minds, sirs.
Right you are, Gov. Just before a gunshot, we heard a voice yelling out, "Give me that gun!"
Hold it!
Hold it! So, in fact, you heard the voice and the gunshot almost simultaneously? We did, Gov. We did.
Although, I suppose if you're being honest, we had a kind of wavering voice for the yell and all.
If you don't want to get shot,
Give me that gun! Or
bam. Kind of thing. A career in acting tragically missed. And where were the voices coming from? Could you tell? Of course we could. From the other side of that door behind the cannon it was. From the storeroom, where the victim was found dead.
And the voice you heard, it was that of the victim, Mr. Winterbank.
Ha! On me granny's life. Of course it was.
on his granny's life. Of course it was.
So, that would mean that you both knew Mr. Winderbank and the sound of his voice?
Alright, so that would be what?
What, Nash? What? Any ideas? Yes, Counsel, indeed it would.
No. We didn't know the geezer.
How am I supposed to deny it when that bloke and all the fancy clobbers giving us the evil eye?
If you value your lives, you will ensure your testimony is accurate and true.
On me granny's life, it is.
On his granny's life, it must be.
It's a good job his granny's dead.
To summarize then, immediately after hearing the voice of the victim, you then hear the gunshot, causing you to stumble and upset the items on the counter, scattering them over the shop floor.
You make it sound like we're clumsy.
Don't forget we tied up after like good little boys. Anyway, the way I see it, the bloke might own the place without a gun, so he should have just fired instead of yelling at the girl.
Hold it!
Hold it. I think you're saying that Mr. Winderbank had a gun in his hands?
Oh yeah, bet the whole side, eh? The two waving their guns at each other. Must have got pretty heated. I mean, just before he shouted out, we had the geezer say, if you don't want to get shot.
Didn't really sound like he meant it in mind. More of an empty threat, you could say.
Mr. Winterbank was known to keep a revolver on his shop counter at all times. People say that to protect the articles in his keeping, he'd readily put a bullet in someone's head if required. That someone being himself, of course.
Good grief. Extraordinary devotion indeed, if alarmingly misguided.
Well, he certainly sounded like we was ready to pull the trigger the other night. Only the person we was going to shoot beat him to it. Cooked his goose proper.
Bet he wished he'd squeeze the trigger instead of wasting time shouting, "Give me that gun." And it was directly after those words that you heard the gunshot?
It was more or less at the same time, Gov. Give me that gun! God, bam!
Kind of thing? Yes, a career in acting very tragically missed.
And we had the sound of someone hitting the deck before everything went dead quiet.
After that, we done a slapdash job tying the place up.
Oh man, he didn't have to give me a fright. We was thinking she would come out the door and get us next.
Go back.
Yeah, so there's another one here. Okay, you know what?
I think you present something, right?
Right. Well, let's see here.
Objection!
Objection! So you're saying that on the night in question, the victim, Mr. Winderbank, was wielding a gun. Is that correct?
That's it, Gov. You got the picture.
He is, Nash. He is. No question. And yet, photographic evidence obtained immediately after the incident clearly shows that Mr. Winderbank was not holding a firearm of any description. Hey, you what?
Benny, that ain't right.
Objection! There can be no question that the victim's revolver was used in the incident. I would remind the court that Mr. Winterbank's gun was found at the scene. Not only was it identified as the murder weapon, but it was found in the accused's hand.
Yeah, that Multula used the victim's own gun to finish him off. Give me that gun.
Kind of thing. Hold it! Stay exactly where you are. Right there. Aye. If the crime had taken place as you've so colorfully described in your testimony, it would give rise to an undeniable and significant inconsistency in the final moments you just acted out. Goodness, are you sure, counsel?
You intrigue me, my learned friend, but let's see some evidence to support your claim. Where is the proof that demonstrates this inconsistency in the witness's portrayal of the victim's final moments?
Well, the autopsy report, really. I mean, a single bullet wound to the back.
Right.
Yep, I was right. According to their testimony, the witnesses claim to have heard a shout of "Give me that gun," followed by the gunshot. Indeed, with the two events happening almost simultaneously, or so we've been led to believe. Yes, that's right. Now, if that testimony is true, it would mean that at the moment of death, the victim and his attacker would have been facing each other. However, in the autopsy report, it clearly states that the victim died instantly after being shot from behind. So, as I stated before, there is an undeniable inconsistency in your testimony, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin.
Yeah! But it's the God's honest truth.
It is, Nash, it is. When he was shot that night.
The shopkeeper's had a gun in his hand. We saw it with our own bleeding eyes.
Did I hear you right just now? You actually saw Mr. Winterbank holding a gun?
Something like that might have slipped out.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have all just heard the admission by these two witnesses that on the night in question, they actually saw with their own eyes the victim wielding a gun, which can only mean that despite their testimony to the contrary, the Skulkin Brothers must have encountered the victim in person.
Nash,
Order! Order! Witnesses, explain yourselves at once.
Well, the thing is, it wasn't supposed to,
It would seem that my previous warning fell on deaf ears. I made it quite clear that false witness would be the death of you.
Am I to understand that you replaced the untruths of your original testimony with renewed lies?
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Governor. Truth is, see, we,
Cut it out, Nash. Cut it out. We blab now. You know what he'll do to us. He? Who are they talking about?
Let me make your position here perfectly clear. You will talk. There is no other option available to you.
Bruv, come on! The game's up!
But he'll have our guts for garters. In case it hasn't quite sunk in yet, no matter how hard you try to hide it, the truth will come out. On the night in question, it is now apparent that you brothers met face to face with the victim. I demand that you testify again to explain the precise circumstances under which this meeting took place.
Well,
Do we have to?
On pain of death. I suggest you make yourselves fully aware that this is your very last chance to tell the truth.
These bastards.
All right, one more testimony. Encounter with the victim.
Alright, so we just got inside the gaff and heaved a sigh of relief when the geezer showed his mug.
give me that gun, he bellowed, and then he flew at us like he was possessed. I thought we'd had it.
An old geezer, a bloke as strong as an ox. He chucked me over the counter.
Oh, I put my gun on him and then he legged it through that door to the back room.
We never had nothing to do with killing him. That's what happened, I swear.
Well, so you're now telling us that moments before the victim was killed in the storeroom, you in fact encountered him in the main part of the shop.
Well, yeah. Sorry.
Well, we find ourselves at an interesting juncture. This changes matters considerably.
But honest, Governor, this time...
This time, Nash, this time, we ain't got nothing more to hide. Very well. Counsel for the defense, you may proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. This is it. The moment I've been waiting for.
Or is it?
Or is it?
Keep on.
Keep your eyes countering the victim. Alright, so we just got inside a gaff and heaved a sigh of relief when the geezer showed his mug. Hold it! When you say geezer, I presume you mean the victim and proprietor of the shop, Mr. Windibank? Who else? Sorry, I mean that's right.
We was keeping a close eye on the entrance to the gaff, obviously. We never thought no one was going to come out of the back room like that.
The back room being the pawnbrokery storeroom. Yeah, that must be where he popped up from. Only place he could have been.
So it would seem the victim was already in the storeroom when these brothers entered the premises.
Which means Jeannie must have been in there at that point as well.
But that doesn't make sense, does it? If Gina had threatened Mr. Windibank into the storeroom with her at gunpoint, then why would he have emerged from the same room all alone when the brothers arrived?
Oh, I don't know.
Did you see the accused at that time? What? That Maltula? Couldn't tell ya.
No way, Cobber. We had bigger fish to fry then. I mean, young geezer just lost it. Give me that gun, he bellowed, and then he flew at us like he was possessed. I thought we'd had it.
Hold it! You mentioned that Mr. Windibank shouted those words in your previous testimony too. However, you claimed that you heard him yelling them on the other side of the storeroom door.
Oh, did we?
But the truth is, he was shouting those words at you, wasn't he?
Well, yeah.
Was the victim Mr. Windibank wielding a gun at the time?
Was he ever? Blimey lummy, the great ugly barrel he had, pointed straight at me frontispiece. So what you're saying is, you definitely saw Mr. Windibank with the gun at that time. Is that right? It is, Gov. It is. Spot on.
Then all of a sudden, he came at us. He did.
It was Bedlam. I didn't know who was going for who. You were clearly all going for each other. Like Nash said, we thought we'd had it. I mean, an old geezer bloke as strong as an ox. He chucked me over the counter. Hold it! Yes, I noted that you mentioned the counter in your previous testimony too. Well, yeah, of course we did.
He knocked over a load of books, a candlestick, and some skull whatnot.
I got tangled in some marionette, what knocked over a picture frame, what knocked them scales on the floor. So in fact, it wasn't the sound of the gunshot that shocked you and made you knock those things off the counter.
Well, Big Brother here went flying over that counter like a gunshot, I can tell you. Then the young geezer pinned him.
He did, Nash, he did. If you hadn't been there, the bloke would have flattened me like a bloomin' pancake in seconds.
At the time in question, the alarm was raised at the local police station via a secret cable from the pawnbrokery. There is a button under the counter used to activate it, which was presumably pressed by the victim.
That's right. When the brothers fled the scene and back onto the street, they ran straight into the arriving police, didn't they?
Poor Mr. Winterbank. He did everything he could to protect his shop.
I put me gun on him and then he legged it through that door to the back room.
Hold it! Were you intending to shoot Mr. Winterbank?
No, never. I was just, looking out for my bruv, weren't I? He was being flattened, don't forget.
Like a man whose shop was being burgled, yes.
And then, the man fled into the storeroom when you pointed your gun at him. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. He showed me away. Then ran off through that door and shut himself in.
There's something about that last remark. Something that doesn't quite ring true.
I wonder why Mr. Winterbank ran away into the storeroom.
What?
Well, according to what everyone's saying, Ginny was in there waiting for him with a gun.
Ah, yes, that's right. Gina allegedly used Mr. Winterbank's gun to threaten him and force him to open the storeroom door. In which case, how did the gun end up in Mr. Winterbank's hands again?
I have no idea. But that is strange, isn't it?
This little inconsistency could be significant. You should make a mental note of it.
Look, the point is, me and me bruv here.
That's what, Nash. That's right. Me and me brother here. We never had nothing to do with killing him. That's all what happened, I swear. Hold it! You say you had nothing to do with it.
Nothing at all.
Nothing, Gov. Nothing. The old geezer went and shut himself in the back room, didn't he?
Look, it was from the inside.
We know it was, because we tried to open it.
But it's a decent door, that one. Good and strong. Wouldn't budge an inch.
So in the end, the situation remains unchanged.
Huh.
Inside the storeroom with the pawnbroker, there was only one other person. The sole person who could possibly have shot the victim, the accused, Miss Gina Lestrade.
It would indeed appear so. What say you to that, counsel? I don't know. Was there anyone else apart from Gina who could possibly have shot Mr. Winterbank?
There could have been.
There could have been. Yeah. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin.
Hey, what?
What's that look for? From the moment you admitted that you had encountered the victim face to face that night, the course of this trial changed completely.
It did?
What is your point, my learned friend?
The question we must answer is who could have shot Mr. Winterbank? And it is the belief of the defense that the defendant is not the only possible answer at all.
You have my attention. In that case, let us return to this plan of the premises. The victim was killed in the storeroom, which was locked from the inside. Those are the facts. So pray, what other possible answer to the question of who shot the man could there be?
Counsel, you must now provide answers to the court in respect of two conundrums. Two, my lord. Twice as many chances to be right, maybe. Indeed. Namely, from what location did the culprit shoot the victim? And furthermore, where was the victim at the time? Understood, my lord.
Are you alright, Runo?
I'm not entirely sure, but there's one thing I am sure about. If I can prove that there's a credible new alternative to what happened, it would change Gina's prospects hugely.
So now, time for some clarity. Show the court on this plan the answer to the questions posed by his lordship. If you believe someone else could have killed the victim, indicate from where that person could have fired the gun. Just outside the storeroom, I believe.
Yep, take that! The defense believes that the culprit could have shot the victim from this location here.
And in answer to the second question, assuming the culprit fired from the location indicated, where was the victim at the time?
Probably in the storeroom. Take that!
Just outside. Just inside there.
The culprit shot the victim from outside the storeroom.
Continue.
Mr. Windibank died instantly from a bullet wound in his back. Looking at the stain of blood on the storeroom floor, it doesn't appear that the body was moved after death, which tells us that he was almost certainly shot while he was in the storeroom. However, the crucial point is, where was the shooter when the fatal bullet was fired? So you are adamant that the shot was fired from outside the storeroom? Well, according to the Skulkin Brothers' earlier testimony,
I put my gun on him, and then he legged it through that door to the back room.
if Mr. Windibank ran away through the door, we have to assume that the door was open at the time. Ah. It was at precisely that moment, when the victim was fleeing for his life, that these brothers had the perfect opportunity to shoot the man in the back once he was inside the storeroom.
Ah!
Come to think of it, do you remember what the prosecutor said at the start of the trial?
Moving on to the findings from Scotland Yard's coroner, his report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself.
Poor man. Shot while he was running as fast as he could to safety.
Ah, of course. He would have been leaning forward as he was running away. So even if the bullet was fired horizontally, it would still have entered his body on an upward trajectory.
So the culprit isn't necessarily someone shorter than Mr. Windibank.
Objection! I'm sure my learned friend can't have forgotten that the storeroom door was found closed and locked from the inside. You claim the victim was shot as he fled into the room. Do you also claim his corpse was dexterous enough to turn the key in the lock?
But, what if someone else locked the door? Yes, there is someone else who could have locked the storeroom door.
Is that so?
Very well then, counsel. Present your hypothesis to the court. In the scenario just described, the defense's assertion is that the victim was shot from outside the storeroom. In which case, who shut and locked the storeroom door from the inside?
Why, it's the defendant, I think.
Yeah.
Take that!
Obviously, the person who locked the door was the only other person inside the storeroom at the time. The defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Objection! That's absurd. You're suggesting that the accused deliberately engineered the sealed room? For what possible reason? Such actions would only serve to tighten the noose around her neck.
I am inclined to agree, I must say. Well, counsel? Yes. That's a tricky one, that. Isn't it? Half-baked notions have no place in my courtroom, counsel. Remember that, please.
But of course Ginny would have locked the door. It almost goes without saying, doesn't it?
It does?
Well, if I was sitting in that situation, I know I would have locked the door as quickly as I could. I mean, those two burglars just fired a gun in a direction, hadn't they?
Oh, yes. Obviously. Before the two brothers arrived, Miss Lestrade and Mr. Windibank were in the storeroom together. Now, I don't know what went on between them at that time, but at some point, Mr. Windibank must have heard the intruders breaking into a shop and left the storeroom. Intruders, eh? That's us, bruv.
If your theory is correct, that would leave the accused alone in the storeroom.
Yes, it would. Then, probably only moments later, the victim fled back through the storeroom door, hoping to escape danger. Bang! Hit in the back by the bullet, Mr. Windibank fell to the floor where he was, just inside the storeroom. And what we have to ask ourselves now is, what would the defendant have done in that moment?
I see where you're going with this.
Outside the storeroom was a terrifying killer who had just murdered Mr. Windibank. As soon as that thought struck Miss Lestrade, she slammed the door shut and locked it, in order to save her own life.
Hold it! But I ain't. I mean, we ain't the ones who done it.
We ain't, Gov. We ain't. You gotta believe us. I mean, come on, we'd never shoot no one. Objection! That's blatantly untrue. I know for a fact that you would, because before my own eyes, you shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes. There is only one logical conclusion here. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you brothers had every opportunity to have been the true perpetrators of Mr. Windibank's murder. Where does this leave us? You mean to say it wasn't a pickpocket who shot the pawnbroker after all? I should have known it was those three brothers. They look as shady as a dense forest.
That was amazing, Runo. All the members of the jury seem to be firmly on your side now.
I know. First time ever. And probably the last.
Well, I think you've done it. Surely they have to give a verdict of not.
An admirable effort, my learned friend.
Huh? What's this now? He's laughing? You find the situation amusing, Lord Van Zeeks. I myself find the defense's argument most persuasive.
I dare say, such chicanery is the bread and butter of these street performers in your provincial eastern nation, but such blatantly malicious conjuring tricks amount to nothing more than inexcusable pettifoggery here.
What?
The hypothesis you put forward so ostensibly credibly cannot and will not stand. Because, you see, it contains a fatal flaw.
A fatal flaw?
Do you mean to tell me that you are unaware of your logic's failing?
I think it might be because there's 2 guns and 2 bullets, right?
Well,
and only 1 shot was fired from each gun.
Well,
Anyway. Hi, sir. Lord Van Zeeks. Martin and I dared might be an idea to play this ballet conjuring trick for whatever it is the troops on the ground, huh?
the fatal flaw in my learned friend's argument is really very simple to understand. Assuming you're not too dim-witted to count bullets.
By George, count bullets?
Oh dear. You noticed then?
Huh? What's everyone talking about?
Counsel,
Yes, sir?
tell the court how many bullets were found at the scene of the crime.
2. 2 bullets.
Correct. The first, that which hit the victim in the back, ending his life, and the second, that which struck the detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, on his arrival at the scene.
Indeed. The defense presented a picture showing damage caused by the second bullet earlier in the proceedings. Now, hold on a second. The bullet which injured Mr. Sholmes appears to have passed through his body to strike the calendar.
Hold on. Your lordship's understanding is correct. Furthermore, we know there are 2 firearms involved in the incident. The revolver belonging to the victim, Mr. Winterbank, and the Skulkin Brothers revolver. The evidence shows that a single bullet was fired from each gun.
Yes, indeed it does. A single bullet from each.
Now then, my learned friend. You yourself told the court only moments ago that these 2 brothers shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes right before your eyes.
Yes, I did. Oh my goodness. Well, I think you'll find
But if the single bullet that was fired from the brother's gun hit Mr. Sholmes, it means...
Winterbank not shot by same gun. Stop. Only 1 bullet. Stop.
Exactly. Yes, this Nipponese street performer presented an ostensibly credible argument. However, it was never anything more than a diversionary trick with no hope of standing up to scrutiny.
Order!
Pray, forgive the discourtesy of flinging the dregs of this hallowed nectar into the public gallery.
Lord Van Zeeks!
But this court needs to open its eyes. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, is no ordinary little girl. Despite her young years, she can regrettably no longer be described as a juvenile. No, the person in the dock is far from a law-abiding citizen. She has a past riddled with criminal conduct. The truth is, the accused broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question with loathsome intent. As we can see beyond doubt in this print, which depicts her threatening the victim with the murder weapon. And I have here in my possession one more piece of evidence the prosecution wishes to present.
Huh, that disc!
Oh boy.
I'll be taking that whatever's a Miss Gilded's down to the yard, thank you very much.
No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is. Mine.
I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now.
Yes, that music box disc. McGilded's music box disc.
The very day before the hateful murder of Mr. Winterbank, the accused attempted to make off with this article, which clearly doesn't belong to her, and with none of the subtlety of a pickpocket, I might add, but by brute force and brazen impudence.
Good gracious!
Make no mistake, any sympathy for the accused on account of her years is misguided and dangerous. There are no depths to which this girl would not stoop if pushed, no crimes she would not commit. The court forgets that fact as its peril.
I see. I think it would be prudent to take this music box disc into evidence, counsel, as a grim testament to the defendant's character.
Oh, hold it right there! Lord Van Zeeks!
Inspector Gregson. What?
Yes, Inspector?
We had a meeting yesterday in the yard with the prosecution service, and, I think it was agreed that the disc would be used as evidence.
What's this all about? Why is the inspector acting strangely?
Oh, you'll find out in the future, man.
That's the first time he said anything to Van Zeeks at all.
I am unaware of any such meeting.
But those were the instructions, right from the top. The government bigwigs were insistent.
Inspector, I am am the prosecutor, and I alone determine how to present my case. Your warning is noted. Thank you. The prosecution wishes to proceed with submitting this disc as evidence, my lord.
Indeed. Bailiff. The music box disc has been entered into the court record.
Now you can investigate it.
Yep, and there's a blood stain on there.
The prosecution has established the accused's motive, opportunity, and baseness of character. There is nothing more to add. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I await your informed decisions and rest my case.
I don't believe it. I had the jury on my side for once, for all of 5 minutes.
Oh dear. It wasn't even for 5 minutes, Runo.
My lord, wonder if I might say something at this point. Proceed, Mr. Foreman. Stumbling about a bit of fog up now, truth be told. All of a sudden, now it's just barely obvious to me and my men. There's only one thing for it. Oh no. Very well, the court will hear from the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, you will present your leanings as to the defendant's culpability.
Take it away, folks.
Guilty.
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 What?
Oh no.
Not again. Gosh.
We have a consensus among the jury, it seems.
When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth.
Where have I heard that sentence before?
That's my line. I wrote that for Hurley. Ah! How dare he use it against us?
Don't worry, Iris. I don't think we're finished yet. There's still more to this case than we realize. There must be, because there's one thing that I'm absolutely certain of. Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windibank. That's beyond any doubt. Very well. We will proceed with the second summation examination of the day. Mr. Foreman, are you and the other jurors ready? Guard Squadron is primary for action, sir. Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have now determined the defendant to be guilty.
Lock and load, boys and girls. It's time for round 2 of judicial findings. The jurors' contentions.
Once rogue, always rogue, I say. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens.
There's only 2 bullets were found at the scene. I would say the whole case is done and dusted.
You don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. Either which way you look at it, it was that pickpocket.
I never imagined that simple operation would cause me such grief.
The accused attempted a theft on the previous day. I can see I'm in for a busy day ahead.
I am ballistics expert. I have seen many shootings. There is nothing I do not know about the guns.
Okay, what the hell does that mean? It would seem there is little remaining room for doubt. After a minute, I was rather bowled over by the argument put forward by the chap in black. And that fell apart like a house of cards. I saw that jolly well been hoodwinked. Well, no more. Ugh, the whole courtroom is turning against me.
It's not fair.
Iris?
That prosecutor's being mean. Just because Ginny's done some things she shouldn't have done in the past, that doesn't make her a murderer.
Allow me to savor this fruity vintage while I savor the spectacle of your fruitless debate on the matter. Here's to the truth coming out, eventually.
You don't know how right he is. That's enough preamble. Counsel, proceed with the summation examination. Whoosh! Yes, my lord.
Why don't we wrap this up as quickly as we can? Let's get story mode in there, see what they say.
Jury examination.
The defense's rebuttal.
Once rogue, always rogue, Sharon. Different breed with law-abiding citizens. Anyway, let's...
There's only 2 bullets were found at the scene. I would say the whole case is done and dusted.
You don't need a stereoscope to see a truth here. Every which way you look at it, was a pickpocket.
Oh, I never imagined a simple operation would cause me such grief.
Hold it!
You take it off now.
Would you please stop muttering about things that have nothing to do with this trial, sir? The defendant's life is on the line here.
Well, the thing is, I couldn't really say that it has nothing to do with this trial, to be honest.
Huh?
I mean, there's no question that the man was shot, but the bullet had simply vanished from his stomach. It's quite inexplicable, don't you think?
I almost don't want to ask, but this surgery you've been muttering all about all this time, you were operating on...
What was the fellow's name now? Herlock? No. Herlock? No. Hairlock.
Herlock Sholmes by any chance?
Yes! Good lord! It was that hairlock fellow!
What? You're the surgeon that operated on Mr. Sholmes?
That's right. Using the very latest anesthesia techniques, I might add. It was fairly major up, I can tell you.
This is crazy.
Let me see. The fellow was brought in not long after midnight, if I remember correctly. He said he'd been shot by some criminal or other, so I opened him up like a shot. But the funny thing is, I went over his insides with a fine-tooth comb and couldn't find a bullet anywhere. So I'm afraid I had to throw up my hands and just stitch the fellow back up.
I hate to state the obvious, but
Yes?
surely that's because the bullet is still at the scene of the shooting. The counsel for the defense is correct, as is clearly shown in this photographic print. The bullet that the Skulkin Brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes hit him in the stomach region, then exited his body and lodged into the shop wall where the calendar was hanging by the door. I think you'll find it's really quite simple if you just consider the problem three-dimensionally.
Huh? Who do you think I am, son?
Well, juror number 4 is about the best I can do.
As soon as I saw the wound to the man's stomach, I flipped him over.
Like a pancake? Are you saying that you checked his back?
Of course I did, and there wasn't a trace of injury. No sign that the bullet had left the body at all.
What?
That's the point! The only logical conclusion was that the bullet was still somewhere in the man's innards, which is exactly why I said about slicing him up. And I'm still none the wiser even now. How many times do I have to say it? Can someone please explain how it happened? Can somebody please solve the mystery?
It's almost as much of a mystery as how this jury was put together.
The mystery of where that bullet ended up is infuriating. Where's an expert when you need one?
Well, I think I know.
I'm ballistics expert, see many shootings, nothing I do not know about guns.
Hold it! I thought you were just a tourist.
Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please.
There's no way he's just a visiting tourist.
Visiting, but yeah.
So you're a ballistics expert. Who knew?
I have much experience with guns.
Ah,
I have lived through many, how do you say, extreme, violent bath of, blood of,
Extreme violent bloodbaths, perhaps?
those. Extreme violent bloodbaths. English is a very difficult tongue.
considering the sort of people you associate with, I'm surprised you still have a tongue.
Anyway, if you have questions about bullets and guns, you ask me. There's nothing I do not know. No mystery I cannot solve.
He's very confident in his knowledge of guns, that's for sure.
But if possible, please only in Russian language.
He's not very confident in his knowledge of English, though, is he?
No. Still, we should bear it in mind. He's our man if there's a mystery about guns or bullets. Van Zeeks has managed to convince everyone.
And you have eliminated the impossible, he said, but he hasn't.
If we're gonna fight back, we need more material. We have to fight back. We have to turn this trial around again.
Right, so I say go back to the doctor.
Yep. That's exactly where I'm going, and pitting him.
Actually, no, I think you press him.
Again?
Yeah.
Hold it! Mr. Sholmes' surgeon is on the jury? I've experienced some coincidences, really, but this is ridiculous.
I'm as surprised as anyone.
But there's no question Mr. Sholmes was shot.
Well, that's what the police told me when they brought him in.
How bad were his injuries, Doctor?
He was in a bad way. He's lost a huge amount of blood, you know. And I suspect he was shot at quite close range, too, because his skin was badly burnt around the point of entry.
Burnt?
Uh-oh. As I said, I flipped the fellow over and examined his back, but there was no sign of an exit wound, which is why I thought I'd better locate the lug and pop it out.
And yet you say you found no bullet inside the patient.
Well, I wouldn't have done, would I? Because it's in the wall of the pawnbrokers. But how did it get there? I need someone to solve this mystery before it drives me to insanity. If only there was some expert in ballistics who could help, even if he looked extremely untrustworthy.
So we have a disappearing bullet on our hands.
I'd say story won't tell us the truth.
No, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to pit him against him. Objection! Those two statements clearly contradict the idea that all I do is pit jurors against each other.
Oh, a ballistics expert?
Pitting. P-I-T-T.
On the night in question, Mr. Sholmes was shot by one of the Skulkin Brothers. But since there was no sign of an exit wound on his back, we must assume the bullet didn't pass through him. However, no bullet was found lodged in Mr. Sholmes' body either. Furthermore, a bullet was found lodged in the wall of the shop where Mr. Sholmes was shot. Juror number 6.
Hello, my name is Violet. Pleased to meet you.
This apparent contradiction in the facts that is so clearly troubling juror number 4. Are you able to explain the mystery?
I have seen very similar situation in Motherland.
Huh.
It was night. There was blizzard. I was running away along mountain road in freezing cold.
Golly.
The snow was piling high on both sides of the road. It was very narrow and dangerous. My pursuers had hunting rifles and they were on dog sleds.
Mental note, don't ask too many questions.
I was shot from behind and I fell down in snow. And this situation was very similar to what I heard today from doctor. They could not find bullet in my body. And no sign of, how do you say, exit wound.
Then where did the bullet go?
Bullet never hit me.
Well, if it never hit you, why did you fall down?
Bullet hit frozen wall of ice very close to my side.
What?
One small piece, very sharp, broke away from lump of ice and pierced my body. It made deep wound that looks just like bullet wound.
Good gracious.
Of course, piece of ice quickly melted inside me, and that is solution to mystery of disappearing bullet.
But that doesn't answer the question at all. The shooting happened in a pawnbroker's shop. Not some snowy mountain road in another country.
Just an idea, but we might not be looking at exactly the same scenario here.
Runo, where exactly was Haley shot again?
Well, according to the report, in his stomach. Sort of around this area, I think.
Well, that's precisely where he's always wears a little pouch on his belt.
A pouch? Actually, I might have noticed something like that.
Yes, a pouch. It's where he keeps his 3 glass vials of very dangerous chemicals that he uses in his investigations.
What? Really? Doctor, where is the pouch Mr. Sholmes was wearing?
Well, the fellow had nothing like that on his purse when he arrived at the hospital, as far as I remember.
If I may,
Lord Van Zeek's?
while I realize it is forbidden for the prosecution to interject during the summation examination, I should inform the defense that I have the pouch in question in the antechamber outside of the courtroom.
Sorry?
As I understand it, when the police arrived on the scene and found Mr. Sholmes injured, they removed the pouch in order to assess the wound.
Oh, thank goodness! I thought I was getting forgetful for a moment.
Since then, it has been in my safekeeping along with all other evidence relating to the case. I can personally vouch for the fact that it has not been touched since the incident occurred.
Very well. While extremely unconventional during a summation examination, I must demand the prosecution presents the item in question with all speed. Bring forth Mr. Sherlock Sholmes's pouch. I see. So this is the pouch worn by Mr. Sholmes on the night in question, is it? Yep. Look at that. Look, man, you can't time that any better. Look at that. One of the files is broken and the leather around it is scorched black. It's almost as if the file exploded. Exploded? So, that night, the bullet from the Skulkin Brothers' gun struck Mr. Sholmes' pouch.
And it was the glass file exploding that caused the fellow's injury.
This bullet did not penetrate victim, but was deflected into wall of shop. A delightfully complex aroma.
Well, it would appear one mystery has been solved at least.
Though it has no bearing on the truth of this case.
Not as it's been presented.
Not yet.
Huh.
The bungling and burgling brothers shot the detective, and the accused shot the pawnbroker. The pertinent facts of the case remain unaltered.
But at least the mystery is solved. I can sleep easy tonight. Thank you, young man.
Thank you very much.
Glad I could help. Due to its bearing on the conundrum just solved, the court will sequester this scruffy pouch as evidence.
Honey's pouch isn't scruffy.
Sholmes's pouch has been entered into the court record. Now, the summation examination. It would appear the defense is somewhat struggling to alter opinion, Please, my lord, a little more time. After all, that's a new piece of evidence. It'd be a valuable clue. You can't afford to overlook anything here, Ryunoske. There's still a way to turn this around. Somehow. I'm sure of it.
Well, time to look at the court.
I got an idea. Yep. So let's see here. So let's take a look at this.
Oh, there's a burn, all right.
It's really scorched badly just here.
Oh, the strap's broken. Look,
This must be where the bullet hit then.
let me see.
What is that? What is that? What the? Iris, look! Behind where the broken file was. Do you see it?
Ah! That's the Skulkin Brothers' bullet!
What a stroke of luck that it hit his pouch. This is an amazing discovery. What this means is there were 3 bullets fired at Windibanks that night.
We found exactly what that juror was talking about. The 3rd bullet.
It's time to press that juror again, I think.
3rd bullet entered in the court record.
Yep, a projectile we discovered lodged in Mr. Sholmes' pouch. It caused one of the files to explode, injuring Mr. Sholmes. And there's another piece of evidence that I want to look at.
Yeah, the disc.
Oh, Runo, look! This is blood.
Yes, you're right. Just a small smear, but definitely blood. Actually, I feel as though I might have noticed that before.
And it's my time to shine again. I thought I'd be waiting forever. Alright, hold still with that disc, Runo.
Can we get this done quickly, Iris?
In a flash. Fire!
Okay, let's see. Ooh,
Oh, it's green.
what the?
Ooh, a lovely bright shade again.
Wait, that color.
What is it, Runo?
It's just that green. It's not the first time we've seen that color, is it?
Blood
Blood
samples
samples portfolio has been updated in the court record. Yeah, that's going to be really important.
Real important, folks.
All right. So well, let's. Okay. So I think it's the second person.
There's only 2 bullets were found at the scene. I would say the whole case is done and dusted.
Well, let's present something.
Wait a minute now. Not yet, just press her.
Hold it. It's the number of bullets that has you convinced?
Only 2 bullets were fired, and the 2 guns that fired them and have been examined by the police. When the parlor maid asks me how many are invited for dinner, I always tell her to count the table settings.
Well, that's logical, I suppose.
Although,
Yes?
sometimes after dining, crockery does go missing. 1 or 2 guests rather like to find china.
Does your employer dine with thieves?
So I suppose, if there was another bullet somewhere of which we were unaware, I'd have to reconsider my position.
Oh, there is.
A third bullet somewhere on the scene. Could that be possible?
I can prove it.
I can prove it. Allow me to show you, then, the third bullet.
Right there.
Take that!
Here it is. We discovered it just now. Yes, on the night in question in Windermake's pawnbrokery, another bullet was fired.
Hold it! What is this new trickery, you Nipponese conjurer? Where did you find that bullet?
It was locked inside Mr. Sholmes's pouch.
What?
This pouch was removed from around Mr. Sholmes's waist before he was taken to hospital. And since then, it has been touched by no one. Do you mean to say the shot fired by the Skulkin Brothers that night? Yes, as your lordship has surmised, it hit this pouch. But that makes no sense whatsoever. We already know the whereabouts of the bullet fired at Mr. Sholmes. It's clearly visible in this photographic print. Ah! 2 guns from the scene have already been submitted into the court record as evidence. Yes, that to Mr. Winderbank, and that belonging to the Skulkin Brothers. An examination of both guns revealed that only a single bullet had been fired from each. But that must mean... That's right. We now know that on the night in question, 3 bullets were fired. However, only 2 bullets were fired from the guns recovered from the crime scene. And until that incontrovertible inconsistency is somehow explained, we cannot and must not pass judgment. Order! Order! While the summation examination remains incomplete, the court has been presented with new facts. Facts that would appear to shake the very foundations upon which the case against the defendant has been built. As is my prerogative in this situation, I hereby temporarily suspend the summation examination. By Jupiter! What? Bailiff, bring the witnesses back to the stand at once.
I just love that.
Witnesses,
Governor!
were you listening to proceedings while the defense carried out the summation examination?
We was, Governor, we was. Perhaps we could dispense with the tedious preamble. Simply answer this one question. A third bullet has been identified at the scene of the crime. What do you make of that?
Make of it, Gov. I don't make nothing of nothing if I can have it.
Is it one of yours?
God blimey, Gov.
God blimey, Gov, God blimey, not a chance.
In that case, did you have an accomplice?
What? Hey, what? Never! Skulkin Brothers work alone!
Just the 2 of us? It's our trademark? How soon we forget poor Sulky.
Only 2 of the bullets from the crime scene originated from the firearms we have evidence. The third bullet was fired from another gun. Where is it?
Ah, me. That's an head scratcher.
counsel for the defense. Yes. I should like to hear your thoughts regarding these new developments. The third bullet and the mysterious missing firearm from whence it came. Thinking back over all the testimony we've heard and all the evidence we've seen, I think I'm starting to form a picture. A picture of what really happened that night. My lord, I think it's clear what this third bullet tells us about the Skulkin Brothers.
They had a secret accomplice.
They had a secret accomplice. They had to have. On that night at Windibank's pawnbrokery, the brothers must have been working with a third man. The witnesses are clearly doing their best to cover up the existence of this accomplice. But the evidence all points to the fact that there was someone else present. Someone carrying a gun.
Objection! Objection!
An accomplice, you say? Pig's will.
Huh?
These protracted proceedings have already forced us to endure 2 summation examinations. Yet in all that time there has been not a murmur of a third man. If this apparently wraith-like being exists, the court must be shown hard evidence. Without it, this fantasy will be crushed.
The prosecution demands answers on 2 counts. Firstly, proof, evidence that this accomplice was ever at the scene of the crime. And secondly, the identity of the spurious character.
The Skulkins are lying. I know that. But how can I ascertain the identity of the person they're hiding? Well, counsel, I'm supposed to prove the existence of this accomplice and reveal the person's identity, even. In response to the prosecution's demands, my lord, the defense is
Ready to present
answers. The defense is ready. I believe I can provide all the answers the prosecution demands.
So, my Nipponese friend, despite the swimming eyes, you seem to think you have something to say. This promises to be interesting.
Shh! I have to push forward now. There's no other option. I need to use every single piece of evidence available to me if it will make a difference. In that case, counsel, I would ask you to present the evidence without delay. On the night in question, in the moments leading up to the death of the victim, what proof have you that there was a third intruder present at the scene?
In the portfolio.
In the portfolio, yeah.
Take that!
Take that! The evidence is right here in this portfolio. By Jove, that portfolio again, is it?
Do you expect the court to rifle through your papers itself? Be more specific.
You claim one of those blood samples proves the presence of this third intruder. Well, which one is it?
Which sample suggested the third intruder was present?
It's gotta be this guy. It's gotta be this one. No. It's not that one. It's the calendar.
Take that!
Take that! What am I looking at here? There appears to be some green paint or such like around the bullet hole in the middle of the calendar. That's a bloodstain, my lord. A bloodstain?
Green blood? Curious, even for you. Is the court to understand that the intruder was some unhuman creature?
It's something developed by Mr. Herlock Sholmes. What a great detective! New invention, stop. Not yet appeared in stories, stop.
It's this, you see. It doesn't have a name yet, though. This Fargo sprays a chemical that reacts with the different elements in people's blood to change its color.
Different elements of people's blood?
Yes, everyone's blood is slightly different, you see, because it's made up of different elements. So by seeing what color it changes to, you can tell in the flash whose blood it is.
Ooh, that brings a whole extra dimension to looking at blood. Talk of blood in courtroom, stop. Very exciting, stop. As an example, this one shows the blood of the victim, Mr. Windibank. Ah, a striking blue. Yes, so you see, the green color of this bloodstain on the calendar shows that somebody else was shot in the main part of the shop.
Now hold fire there, young man. Could be some unrelated incident, could it?
No, it's not unrelated.
Huh?
The date showing on the calendar is the date on which Mr. Windibank was killed.
By golly.
Therefore, we can assume that whoever was shot on the same day.
Now whose blood is it?
Well, the Skulkin Brothers in the stand don't appear to be suffering from any gunshot injuries. Which means it must be the blood of somebody else. The third intruder, in fact.
Objection! Whose identity the court is still waiting to hear. You can't delay this any longer, my learned friend. Who is this alleged third intruder?
Yep, it's Mr. Eggert Benedict.
Or so it is.
Take that!
The man's name is Eggert Benedict.
Eggert Benedict?
Who on earth are you talking about, counsel? He paid a visit to Windibank's pawnbrokery on the afternoon before the incident took place.
When the accused attempted to deceive the pawnbroker into releasing this article into her possession.
That's right. The man identified by the defense, Mr. Eggert Benedict, then attempted to take the article from the defendant by force. Broker?
Yes, sir?
I believe this filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you, no?
Yes,
The article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once.
Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull?
Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel, and needless to say, any music box discs too. Oh, there we go. Now we get to the heart of the matter. Inspector Gregson was there at the time and can attest to what happened. In the end, it was the inspector himself who took the disc.
Can you corroborate this account, Inspector?
Yes, my lord. That's more or less what happened. And in the interest of being thorough, I asked Windibank for a plot showing the fellow.
There it is, 11 o'clock.
Taken from one of his red-handed recorder gibbonesses.
Yes! That's him talking to Mr. Windibank that morning! And you claim this man is the brother's accomplice. Well, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin?
I never seen the geezer before me life.
On me life, Gov. On me life. Never seen him. Well, somewhat unsurprisingly, it appears our witnesses disagree with the assertion.
I'm sure your lordship recalls my learned Nipponese friend's actual assertion, which was that he could prove the identity of the alleged accomplice.
Yes, and I can. Then show us the evidence.
I agree. We must see proof that the clean-cut gentleman in the photograph is the filthy criminal you say he is.
This is the last piece of evidence. I've had a feeling that something has been missing in this trial from the very start. But now, I'm gonna drag it, kicking and screaming, into the courtroom. Are you ready to present your answer to the court then, counsel? Yes, my lord. The defense will present the evidence now. Proof that the man pictured in this photographic print was in fact the person struck by the third bullet.
Again,
It's the music box. It's the music box disc.
Take that!
Take that! As I mentioned before, on the afternoon of the day in question, the defendant attempted, deceitfully admittedly, to reclaim this disc from Windibank's.
Which is when the aforementioned Eggert Benedict appeared on the scene, I believe. This man then attempted to purloin the article from the defendant's possession, no?
That's correct, my lord. I myself was present at the time. It was following this that a minor incident occurred.
Of course, sir. Here's a disc for you.
Very well. then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style.
Wait a minute. That disc, it's mine! Give it back!
Ah! What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal! Being a music box disc, it has countless small but sharp metal protrusions over its surface. Those protrusions cause Mr. Benedict's finger to bleed, and the resulting smear of blood is still visible on the disc now. Goodness, a blood stain, is it? My assistant and I have just analyzed the blood stain here in this very courtroom.
Using my trusty finger gun.
Yes, and we added the results to this portfolio. I say,
It's green.
it's exactly the same color as the blood on the calendar. The evidence is conclusive. The man calling himself Mr. Everett Benedict, who was in Windibanks earlier in the day, is the accomplice who was present at the scene of the crime that same night.
No. So there was someone else there.
Who are those two brothers now? They're sweating buckets.
Boy, what are you talking about? It's boiling in here.
My lord, it is the opinion of the defense that Mr. Everett Benedict should be summoned to the courtroom to testify. It would certainly seem that we can ill afford to ignore this gentleman's apparent presence.
Objection.
This has gone on long enough now. This flagrant ignorance of the mechanics of law.
Huh?
Sherlock Holmes, you say? Yes, I've heard the name. The protagonist in a series of short stories for the vulgar classes. A god of detection or some such. And now you employ chemical substances devised by this fantastical persona in the highest court in the land? Do you expect us to take you seriously? The samples made by this plaything are not fit to be called evidence. So the bloodstain turned a shade of green. What of it? Here's to you successfully proving that no other blood in the world would turn the same color.
Well,
And pray, do not even think of suggesting that we should take Mr. Sholmes' word for it.
No.
is he right? Is Mr. Sholmes' concoction a load of rubbish?
I don't know. I mean, he's a great detective.
What are you talking about? We can't get away with that. I knew it would come to this. Of course Mr. Sholmes' invention is going to be recognized by any official body. But what other choice did I have?
I'm just remembering what Father Christmas over there said before. About how he was temporarily suspending the summation examination.
Ah,
In other words, the examination isn't over yet, is it?
good grief. What did you just say, young girl?
And in a summation examination, the decision as to whether or not the trial continues is in the hands of the 6 jurors, isn't it? So the way I see it, it doesn't matter what certain other people think of Hurley's invention, at least. Not for now.
Yes, she's right. Young lady, you have quite the devious mind.
It really just comes down to one thing. Whether these ladies and gentlemen of the jury are convinced by what you say, Runo. Is that about right, would you say? Or did I misunderstand something?
Unbelievable. Mr. Sholmes' partner is a force to be reckoned with.
Iris Wilson, sharpshooter.
After that shrewd preface of the situation from an entirely unexpected source, it must be acknowledged that the previous summation examination has yet to reach its conclusion.
This is absurd.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court now looks to you for your final leanings in this matter. As proud citizens of Her Majesty's Britain, I'm sure you will come to fair and just conclusions. So then, state your final decisions in turn, please.
Take it away, jurors.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
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 Not guilty.
Uh-oh. Does that mean...
Yay! And Maddie liked the stream. Thank you so
Maddie!
much. 2 call guilty and 4 call not guilty. Such is the outcome of the summation examination.
Objection! My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage! The prosecution refuses to accept this decision!
On what grounds?
If these jurors are persuaded by some half-baked concoction devised by a pretender to real police work, then they are too ignorant to be trusted with the judgments of anyone's guilt!
I'm sorry, Lord Van Zeeks, but the outcome of the summation examination cannot be ignored. This trial will continue. Nevertheless, we find ourselves in a rather awkward situation. The defense has very reasonably requested the subpoena of a new witness. But sadly, I fear that will be impossible. What? The name the gentleman gave for himself, Eggert Benedict, is quite clearly false. I don't believe it. Just when I'd managed to prove the man was there that night.
Just when you thought all was hope, juror number 5 spoke up.
Could I say something? Huh? Who was that, please? Who spoke? It was me, my lord. Juror number 5. What have you to say, madam? If possible, Inspector.
Me, ma'am?
I wonder if you might show the photographic print to me again, of the one in which the gentleman is shown.
Ah, right, yes. This one you mean. Mr. Benedict.
Yes. There's no doubt in my mind. Juror number 5, you don't mean to say you know this man? Yes, I know him. What?
No.
Good gracious! What? Order! Order! Juror number 5, how on earth? I am a communications officer. Stop. As we can clearly see, the gentleman in the photograph is, stop, also a communications officer. Stop. He works in my office. Stop. A very talented operator, in fact. Stop. He should be in the communication station now. Stop. Tapping away on the telegraph. Stop. This doesn't seem right somehow. I can't put my finger on why, but it doesn't feel right.
I suppose we all imagine the accomplice would be some sort of hardened criminal. It's a bit unexpected to find out that he has a respectable job by day, whatever he gets up to at night.
Yes, I suppose that's it. I suppose that's why I felt something was wrong. If the gentleman is at London's communication station, we should be able to subpoena him within the hour. Lord Van Zeeks, if you please.
Yes, my lord.
Make the necessary arrangements with all haste.
As your lordship bids.
The court will recess for 1 hour. When the new witness arrives, we shall reconvene to hear the gentleman's testimony. Inspector Gregson.
Yes, my lord.
I should like to hear from you specifically about events at the pawnbrokery on the day in question. Come to my chambers during the recess.
Yes, sir, my lord.
Very well. Court is adjourned until 1:40 p.m. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty here.
Yeah, buddy.
To be continued.
Well, it's only been
An hour and a half. And really, we have an hour left on the docket.
Let's push forward. What do you say?
I mean, it's getting juicy.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Meanwhile, on 17th
17th
of April,
12:41 p.m., the Old Bailey, defendant's antechamber. Ah, Gina, how you holding up? Starting to feel quite warmly towards her frequent cold shoulders now.
Ginny, are you alright? Why aren't you saying anything?
What's the point, eh? Why go to all this trouble and fight so hard for the likes of me?
What?
Well, you saw it. That picture.
What picture?
Ah, you mean this? The photograph taken by Hurley's red handy recorder? Well, I didn't think you would have captured a scene like this, that's for sure.
It's hopeless. Anyone who sees that is gonna think I did it, ain't they?
Well, I won't pretend it wasn't a bit of a shock when the prosecution first presented it to the court.
Surely you're gonna have your doubts about me now. You can't still think I'm innocent.
Of course I can.
Heh.
Ginny, why didn't you talk to us? Tell us what really happened that night.
Hey,
Runo's cleverly managed to piece together lots of new information, but still, we'd really like to hear it from you.
alright then. After we had that dinner together at your place, right, Iris? And we all had a chat up in the office, didn't we?
Yes, I remember.
After that, I just couldn't get to sleep. I slipped out and went down the street of the 2-to-1 to Winterbank's place. I had to know.
If Iris's story was there or not,
oh no.
if Iris's story was there or not, the Hound of the Baskervilles.
Aha,
Thanks for catching that, bro.
that's right.
I don't know what it's about or nothing. If you ask me, there's something in it that Sholmes don't like. Something what he don't want people reading. Now that's why he lied to Iris about sticking it in lug with Winterbank for safekeeping. At least, that's what I thought at the time. And,
Hold on a minute. Yeah, okay. What?
And we have the artillery twins.
Hey!
Mr. Ethan Hubbard. My friend, it's been 16 minutes and we just now witnessed your message.
Sorry about that.
But welcome.
Welcome to the stream, my man.
All right. Crap.
All right, continue.
alright.
So you broke into Winterbank's.
I just had to know if it was there or not. I mean, I had no idea all that was gonna kick off, did I? I struck a lock and snuck inside. It's as dark as you like in there. So I gave the oil lamp on the counter a bit of wick. And that's when...
What do you think you're doing? Huh?
I nearly died, I did. And next thing I knew... I grabbed the gun off the counter and was waving it in the air like I don't know what.
Ah, you're the girl who was in there this afternoon. I didn't think pickpockets went in for armed robbery.
The metal script. Have you got it here? Did Sholmes leave a load of papers with you? A story?
I beg your pardon?
The Hound of the something or other. If it's here, I want to see it.
I'm sorry, young lady. When I took a dive, they relinquished an article belonging to one of my customers.
I don't want it. What will I do with it anyway? I just want to see it's here, that's all.
You want to see it, do you?
I want to know if Sholmes really pawned it here or not. Please, just let me see it and I'll go.
Very well then. But for peace sake, stop waving my gun around, would you?
And then the old cove unlocked the storeroom door, and we both went inside. It was there, all right. The metal script. Sholmes weren't lying after all.
You did all that just to check for me, Ginny.
Anyway, there was a bit of a kick-up out in the main bit of the shop.
The Skulkin Brothers arriving on the scene. Yes.
What was that noise? Someone's breaking in.
Dear me, is this a burglar's convention here tonight that I don't know about?
I think I forgot to shut the door behind me. Sorry.
I better go and take care of it. Could I possibly have my gun back?
Oh, well, I'll come with you and...
Now don't be foolish, young girl. You must stay right here. Don't leave this room under any circumstances.
And with that, he took a gun out of my hands and walked back out in the shop. I hung back in the storeroom like he said, straining my ears in the dark to hear what was going on. It sounded like they got into a bit of a scrap. I started to think I should help, see? So I was just about to go out the storeroom myself when...
Bang! Bang!
Bang.
I heard a couple of shots go off. 2, I think. Almost at the same time. And then there he was, right at my feet, lying face down on the floor. I was right next to the storeroom door, so I slammed it shut and locked it quick as you like.
Because you thought whoever shot Mr. Windibank might come for you.
Yeah. So I went and grabbed the old cov's gun. I figured I'd put up a fight at least. And when I got a better look at him, I knew. Windibank was a goner. Felt funny in me head all of a sudden. Kinda dizzy. After that, I don't remember nothing.
That must be when you passed out, Gina.
If I hadn't done what I'd done, your cove might still be alive.
Did you tell the police everything you just told us?
Of course I did. They didn't believe a word of it, did they? All they said was if I kept telling lies, it'd make things even worse for me.
It'll be alright, Ginny. Don't worry. Just stay strong a little longer. Runo's about to put the real couplets through the mill.
That cove what was there in the afternoon. That agate Benedict. I still remember how he looked at me. Like I was nothing. He was there that night.
We don't know his real name yet, but I'm convinced that he's involved somehow. Anyway, thank you for telling us what happened, Gina. I appreciate your honesty.
You what?
You can leave it all in Runo's capable hands now, Ginny.
Mr. Naruto,
Yes?
how come you trust me? I don't get it. I mean, have you forgotten what happened here before? Come on, it was only 2 months ago. Me and McGilded, we told you a whole pack of lies. And you got a bog trotter off with him, even though he was a killer.
No, I could never forget that.
Oh,
I did what I thought was best at the time. The pain of that error of judgment doesn't get any easier to bear. Still, don't forget that I also made you a promise. I told you that I'd be on your side to the bitter end, no matter what.
but what if I'm lying? You could be working to get another killer off the hook for all you know.
I was once in your position, Gina. I was the accused in a trial.
You were?
Before I left Japan, I was accused of murder. And strange as it might sound, the circumstances of the crime were pretty damning. I was sure that no one would believe it wasn't me who'd done it.
Oh, Runo.
But there was one person who stood up for me, who believed in me, and was prepared to defend me. My best friend.
Ryunoske, no one believes in you more than I do. Leave this to me. All you need to do is put your faith in me, and I'll do the rest.
I was so happy I cried. But even then, somewhere inside me, I couldn't help thinking. Surely he doesn't really believe in me. Not completely.
Huh?
But I was wrong. As soon as my trial began, it was obvious that he had an absolute, unwavering belief in me. And in turn, I developed an absolute, unwavering belief in him. Since then, I came to realize, if you want someone to believe in you, you have to believe in the other person first.
What are you saying?
I promise you, Gina, that no matter what happens, I'll keep believing in you. So you don't need to worry. I won't let you down.
Even though I'm a diver and a no-good liar?
You're not like McGilded. I know that.
Hey?
That's right. You're our friend, Jenny.
Iris!
We know you better than you think. And we've come to the conclusion that you're someone we can trust.
Yes,
That's really all we need to know.
exactly.
Mr. Narado,
Defendant Gina Lestrade and her legal representative. Court proceedings are about to resume. Please head into the courtroom immediately.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Well, she was about to cry, I'll tell you that.
Just about. I'd been both a defendant and a defending lawyer in my time, so I knew only too well just how hard it was to put all your faith in another. And I also knew just how hard it was to bear the burden of another putting all their faith in you. This is it at last. The final chapter. The final battle. Wish me luck, Sasato-san. And I hope you're watching over me too, partner.
Damn right, son. Lock him and load him, ladies. It's go time.
Meanwhile, I'm going to say it. 17th of April, 1:41 p.m. 1 minute late. The Old Bailey courtroom.
Don't do that again, Andrew. I hereby call this court to order as we resume the trial of Miss Gina Lestrade. Lord Van Zeeks, have you successfully subpoenaed the witness?
The subpoena was delivered to the communication station where the man works immediately, my lord. However, the heavy rain has delayed the arrival of his carriage, it would seem.
I see. Then let us turn our attention to Inspector Gregson's process of the case heard by the court this morning. The glaring omission of the third bullet in your report is a serious blunder, Inspector.
Yes, he can only apologize, my lord.
And although the defense's chemical analysis of the blood at the scene makes for a compelling argument, I cannot permit such untried methods to be used as evidence in my courtroom.
It's a big mistake to cost Hurley and me. A very big mistake.
My lord,
My lord?
the subpoenaed witness has just arrived in the building.
Actually, the bailiff is Sholmes, I think. Thank you, officer. Show him to the stand without delay.
Oh, sorry.
Mr. Eggert Benedict. I didn't expect to be crossing paths with him again so soon, and certainly not like this.
I let that slip. My apologies.
That's okay. We don't know yet, so you actually might be okay.
Yeah, this bastard.
Thank you for complying with the court subpoena at such short notice, sir. But of course, my lord, as an upstanding member of London society, it is my pleasure to oblige. Now, kindly state your name and occupation for the record. Ashley Graydon, Communications Officer. Mr. Graydon and I both work at London's Central Communications Station. Now, perhaps somebody would kindly explain what all this is about.
You were apprised of the situation by the court officer on your way here, I presume.
Yes, I was. Something to do with a murder that took place at a pawnbroker's on Baker Street. And some nonsense about me having been there on the night in question.
That is the accusation indeed.
This really is beyond a joke, you know. Very well. Without further delay, the court will hear your testimony now, Mr. Graydon. You will respond to the accusation made against you under oath. Gladly, my lord. Gladly.
All
What
right,
the hell is up with that movement?
well, let's nail this bastard. The accusation.
Naturally, I have occasion to make use of pawnbroking services from time to time. But are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder? I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation, even if certain parties here present claim that my blood was found at the scene.
Oh, it is.
Some Scaramouche detective's homebrewed tincture can hardly be taken as serious evidence. So, you deny the accusation completely, do you? I must say I am dismayed. From the highest court in the land to be swayed by this self-professed detective's toy?
It was the will of the jury, and our great British justice system demands that the jury's will is upheld.
Then it would seem we have the misfortune of a most inept assembly of jurors today.
Well, by golly.
How long am I expected to be detained here? If, following the defense's cross-examination, your involvement in this matter has not been established, you will be free to leave immediately. Good. Then I shall be away in time for afternoon tea. Some small consolation at least. Let us not hold up Mr. Graydon any longer than necessary, counsel. Proceed with the cross-examination. So, we meet again, Mr. Eggert Benedict. Or is it Mr. Graydon? My apologies. You are? Ryunoske Naruhodo, defense lawyer. We have met. If you say so, Ashley Graydon.
Enchanté.
Enchanté. So. I trust we can conclude this quickly. I'm not holding a flashy hat while we do.
All right, let's go get this son of a bitch.
All right, let's get him.
Cross-examination. The accusation.
Naturally, I have occasion to make use of pawnbroking services from time to time. Hold it! Yes, we even met in the very pawnbrokery where the crime took place on the afternoon of the day in question. Though, of course, you introduced yourself by a different name at the time. Huh? It was Mr. Eggert Benedict, I believe. Tell me, what made you...
Objection!
The witness is here to testify about events that took place that night.
Huh?
He is under no obligation to answer such unrelated questions.
You can't be serious! Thank you, because I certainly do not feel inclined to answer such an inappropriate question. So he's going to be evasive, is he? In an effort not to give anything away. This could be tricky. But are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder?
Hold it!
Hold it! Have you seen these two men before? This pair? No, I do not associate with criminals. Said by a man who introduced himself as Edgar Benedict. I'd like to know who I have to thank for this. Who made this outlandish accusation against me?
The young lawyer there in the black.
This is a farce. Whose idea was it to permit an outsider to work in a British court anyway? Huh? Well, needless to say, I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation. Hold it! Where were you at around 1 a.m. on the night in question, sir? That is past the hour at which I would normally retire. Certainly, I was not in the company of these rapscallions. You're able to prove that?
Objection!
Objection! Listen carefully, my learned Nipponese friend, for you appear to be under a gross misapprehension on this point.
What do you mean?
The witness maintains he was not at the scene of the crime. He has no obligation to prove his absence. If your accusation is that the witness was present at the scene, the obligation lies with you to prove your assertion. You will fulfill that obligation before putting any more unreasonable questions to the witness.
A silent victory, Wiggle. Thanks. Even if certain parties here present claim that my blood was found at the scene. Hold it! Blood was found at the scene of the crime. There's no question of that. Mr. Storm's chemical analysis has positively identified the substance as such. But I am not the only human to have blood running through my veins, am I? How can you be sure that the blood is mine? It could equally be the blood of one of these two miscreants. Every individual's blood has a slightly different composition, it seems. Mr. Sholmes' chemical is able to differentiate the different... Spare me the science lesson! Who is this Sholmes character anyway? Oh, I assumed all Londoners would know the name. He's a renowned detective.
So even you are unable to bring yourself to say great detective.
A great detective, you say? Now we're in the realm of fairy tales, are we?
May.
Excuse me. Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Skulkin? What? Me? No, the Mr. Skulkin next to you.
Right, I've had up to hell with this. How many times have I got to tell you?
Yes, I know, you're not Big Brub's sulky.
Nash.
Mr. Nash Skulkin.
God blimey, Governor, you what?
Is it not the case that when Mr. Graydon just spoke, a thought went through your mind? Would you care to share that thought with the court?
Me thoughts? I don't have none of them. It must have been him.
You what? Mr. Nash Skulkin, answer the question, please. What went through your mind when Mr. Graydon just spoke?
Nothing, honest, Gov, nothing. Oh, I was just thinking, if he waves his arm around like that much more, he'll open up the wound again, that's all.
What wound?
When he took the bullet, of course. It was only 2 days ago. It ain't gonna be healed up yet. So I was, I was worried for him and, oh, hell's bells!
Mr. Graydon, did you hear that? What? Your comrade is worried about you, it seems. On account of your injured arm. My lord? Yes, Mr. Graydon? I have no idea what these two wretches are talking about. Certainly I shouldn't be expected to answer anything in relation to their mindless insinuations. We know that someone other than the victim was hit by a bullet at the scene of the crime 2 nights ago. And from the height of the bullet hole in the wall, that person was likely hit in the upper arm or thereabouts. Perhaps you'd allow a court official to examine your arm, sir. The left arm that you're currently clasping with your right hand, as if in pain. No, I refuse. Huh? You have shown no evidence whatsoever that links me to these common thieves. Accordingly, I am not obliged to permit any such invasion of my privacy. Yeah, that's good. As I've already said, I'm completely uninvolved in all of this. I've never had anything to do with the pawnbrokery where this fellow was killed whatsoever. I take offense at the insinuation that I was in any way involved. You claim to have had nothing whatsoever to do with Mr. Windibank's pawnbrokery. My lord, the defense would like that last statement to be added to Mr. Graydon's formal testimony, because I'm going to hit him with something. Very well, counsel. Continue with your testimony, Mr. Graydon. The bottom line is, I've never had anything to do with the pawnbroking establishment where the man was killed. Well, yes, you did, you bastard. Hold on. Oh, you rat bastard. Okay. Objection! Okay, there's the evidence. Have you ever seen this disc before, Mr. Graydon? Why? Is it supposed to mean something? This disc was, until the day of his murder, in pawn in Mr. Windibank's shop. It was redeemed by the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, that afternoon. However, somebody mysteriously appeared to try to take it from her. And that somebody was you, of course. Wasn't it, Mr. Graydon? As I have reiterated numerous times now, you are mistaken. That was not me. I've never seen that disc before in my life. It may have escaped your notice, but there's a small smear of blood on the disc. Ah, yes, resulting from an abrasion of the thumb, perhaps. That's right. The surface of the disc is covered in hundreds of tiny metal bumps. In the skirmish to acquire the disc, the thumb of the person who tried to take it suffered minor lacerations. So, while the disc bears the remnants of that skirmish in the form of this smear of blood, the thumb of the person in question must bear the remnants also, in the form of a scratch. Good gracious, indeed it must. Mr. Graydon, you refused to allow a court officer to examine your arm before. Are you now going to refuse to allow us to examine your thumb? Because I have no doubt that it bears a small scratch consistent with the smear of blood on this disc. Well. It would seem I underestimated you. What? What is the meaning of this? So you admit it now. You admit you have a scratch on your thumb for when you attempted to take the disc from the defendant? Order! Order! Well, Mr. Graydon? It would appear there's been something of a misunderstanding here. I did not attempt to take the disc, as you put it. No, quite the reverse. What are you trying to say? It's really quite simple, you see. The disc was mine from the outset. Is there some crime in taking an item that you own out of pawn? What?
It would seem, Mr. Graydon, that in this piece of evidence my learned friend has established a link between yourself and the incident. Accordingly, you will tell the court everything you know about this disc now.
As you wish. Though I'm quite sure it has nothing whatsoever to do with the pawnbroker's murder. It's got everything to do with it.
Oh, yeah.
You just don't know how.
Now spill the beans, punk.
There's a note on the disc saying for McGilded, but the item belongs to me. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. Did I hear you correctly, sir? McGilded, you say? The famous London philanthropist? Oh. Who perished in this very courtroom 2 months ago after being acquitted of a distinctly messy murder? Yes, my lord. The one and the same. Good Lord, Mr. Creighton, are you saying that Mr. McGilded and yourself were acquainted? Yes, that's correct. What? Huh? Order? Well, I certainly didn't expect to hear that name uttered here in my courtroom again. According to what Gina told us, this disc was placed in pawn on that fateful night 2 months ago. McGilded himself gave instructions to deposit it at Winterbanks.
It's funny that Mr. Graydon here is claiming the disc belongs to him then, isn't it?
In all likelihood, he's lying. So he appeared that afternoon at Winterbanks in order to get his hands on McGilded's disc for some reason. Counsel, you will commence your cross-examination, please.
All right, here we go.
Here we go.
The disc.
There's a note on the disc saying for McGilded, but the item belongs to me. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. Yeah, he did. Objection!
Bam.
This disc was deposited at Winterbanks on Magnus McGilded's instructions. You knew that, and you went there with the intention of obtaining it for yourself.
Objection. Conjecture again. And in any case, the disc was taken into custody by the police that afternoon. The witness had no reason to visit the pawnbrokery again that night.
Objection! Sorry, my learned friend, but that's not true.
Whoa. What?
Mr. McGilded had another article in pawn at Winterbanks, as this second pawnbroker's ticket proves. There were 2 articles belonging to Mr. McGilded in Winterbanks pawnbrokery, and the reason you broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one, together with your 2 accomplices, the Skulkin Brothers. This is the second ticket, is it?
What had the man deposited?
The article description reads, 1 small box. Rather vague description, it seems to me. Are you suggesting that I broke into the pawnbrokery with these clowns in order to steal some trinket box? I believe there are adequate grounds to suspect that you did. This is absurd. Why on earth would I do such a thing? Once the article had been forfeited, I could simply walk into the shop and purchase it. There would be absolutely no need for me to resort to theft. That's a good point. Indeed. The witness makes a solid argument.
So that means that for some reason, this Graydon fellow needed the small box that very night, does it?
Objection. It's time to put an end to this nonsense, my lord.
Could you be a little less cryptic, Lord Van Zeeks?
I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from Winterbanks' pawnbrokery. And rest assured, the prosecution can prove it.
What? Good gracious.
Inspector, show the photographic prints to the court, if you please.
Yes, sir.
What prints?
These prints were taken from one of the detective's security cameras.
There these red-handed recorders again.
As previously explained using this plan of the shop layout. The victim's establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in 2 locations,
One was set to capture the counter where Mr. Winterbank received his customers, and the other was set to capture the shelves on which articles were placed for sale once forfeited.
According to the information on this ticket, McGilder's small box had been forfeited already, 2 days before the incident, at 9 p.m. on 13th April to be precise, which means it would have been on the shelves of forfeited items in the shop front. Now what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. That's at 11 p.m. on 15th of April.
The victim certainly had a very full shop, it would appear.
Then here we have another print. This one was taken about 2 hours after the incident.
I see. So we have 2 pictures to compare. I see the difference. Though I must say that placing them side by side leaves me cold.
Oh yeah, it was moved.
Dear me, that's starting to make my head ache.
Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we consider theft as one possible motive in this case. We explore the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life.
So your men have already compared these 2 prints thoroughly, Inspector?
Yes, sir. We counted every single item in each of these 2 photographic prints. And the yard's conclusion is that exactly the same number are present in both.
In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbrokery on the night in question, and my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy.
Ah! I don't believe it! If I could have just shown that he'd stolen McGilden's pawn box, I might have been able to break him down at last.
You know what, Runo? I've been thinking. I wonder if these 2 photographs really are exactly the same.
What?
They're not.
They're not. So, counsel, in the light of the evidence put forward by the prosecution, what is your position? It seems that, in fact, on the night in question, nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion?
No, you don't.
I don't know. Could there be some hidden discrepancy in these 2 photographic prints somewhere?
There is, you point out this.
Here's a piece of evidence. Yep. Before I give my answer, my lord, I'd like to try something, if I may. Try something? What do you mean, counsel? I'll need to use a certain piece of evidence from the court record to identify the discrepancy. I'm not entirely sure I follow. Which piece of evidence do you intend to use to help you identify a discrepancy between the 2 prints? I thought it's the stereoscope. I'd like to use this device, my lord, to view the 2 prints stereoscopically. Ooh, yes, you caught a bug at last. You can't resist it, can you? You got a cross-eyed compulsion. Juror number 3. What a surprise.
Come on, Runo. Let's put the pictures in place and see what this wonderful contraption shows us. There we go. Now, look through the eyepiece.
I wasn't sure at first, but there is a clear discrepancy between these 2 prints.
What?
You must identify the location in question for the court, counsel. Indicate the precise location of the discrepancy of which you speak.
See how it shines?
Oh, yeah. Take that! Granted, these 2 prints are almost identical. However, there is one minor discrepancy between them.
What?
When you view the 2 pictures stereoscopically, a single area stands out as being different. the location of this small box.
Let me.
Wait. Unbelievable.
By Jove, you're right. How extraordinary. What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilden's small box was indeed not stolen from Windibanks on the night in question. However, there can be no doubt that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned it to its place on the shelves. Are you suggesting that the small box originally deposited by Mr. McGilden is in fact, yes, the very same small box I just identified in those photographic prints?
Objection. Mindless guesswork. What if it was? So a box was moved on the shelf. Nothing was stolen. Which means quite simply that nothing has changed.
That may be true, but... Alright, McGilden's box wasn't stolen then. But doesn't the fact that it was moved like that change things? It changes everything.
It changes everything! Fuck!
I just had to say it. I believe this changes everything about the case.
How can that possibly be?
The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting on the shelves at Windibanks as we speak.
Objection! That won't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this trial.
The court does not uphold your objection, Lord Van Zeeks. Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once. Obtain the small box in question and bring it back here for further examination.
What the hell? What did that?
I don't understand.
What?
So now everybody's just waiting. Absolute madness.
Wow.
We should have a report within half an hour. I think perhaps we should recess for a short while until the evidence is brought forth.
To be hoodwinked by such a farce. Disappointing.
I beg your pardon, Lord Van Zeeks.
This is nothing but a smokescreen, a Nipponese specialty, it would seem.
What are you trying to say?
My learned friend has persisted with the same line of reasoning from the very beginning, that this witness's intent was to steal an article belonging to Mr. McGilden from the pawnbroker. Yet common sense tells us that none of the articles have value enough to be worth stealing in the first place.
Exactly! It would be beyond absurd to break into a place for the purpose of stealing such commonplace property.
If your lordship recalls, Mr. McGilden perished 2 months ago, immediately after the conclusion of his trial, a trial in which he was found not guilty, a trial in which it was established he was the upstanding member of society, his reputation implied in fact. So I propose a toast to my learned friend and his most insightful defense.
The articles this upstanding member of society pawned were entirely ordinary. A black overcoat that just happened to have a music box disc in one of its pockets and a small box. I assure you, I wouldn't accept even if the man tried to make a gift of such things to me.
No, it does make rather a lot of sense. It's not as if it was gold or jewels, is it? Though goodness knows Mr. McGilden was rich enough. But you can't deposit cash in pawnbroking, I'm quite certain of that.
Prosecution's argument is undeniably compelling.
It is incumbent on the defense now to bolster its argument. To explain what possible significance these commonplace articles pawned by this fine citizen could have.
Well, counsel, is your argument in fact demonstrable? Are you able to show proof that the disc or the box are in any tangible way related to this case? Well,
What's the matter, Runo? We know that they're related, don't we? They're both vital pieces of evidence.
yes, of course. You and I both know that. We know McGilded's true character, and we know the disc is significant, even if we don't know why.
But if we
explain all that to the court at this point, we'll have to acknowledge that McGilded's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake, that the defense's argument was flawed, based on false information.
Oh no!
And that would mean admitting that Gina committed perjury.
But Jenny...
Could it be that Van Zeeks knows? Is that why he's doing this now? Because he anticipated everything?
Well, maybe. This could be a great opportunity for us.
Sorry? What do you mean, Iris?
Well, what is it that you always say, Runo? Sooner or later, the truth comes out. Every time.
All right, the exact significance of the things that McGilded deposited with Mr. Windibank is something that only Gina could explain to the court. But if I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could critically damage our chances of winning this case. What's the right thing to do here? Have Gina testify. My lord, the defense would like to make a proposal. What proposal, counsel? While the court awaits the arrival of Mr. McGilded's small box, I would like to call the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, to the witness stand. The defendant? To what end? It's to do with the various articles deposited at Mr. Windibank's by Mr. McGilded, my lord. Miss Lestrade has information relating to them. I believe it would be beneficial for the court to hear what she has to say. It will prove the significance of the articles in question once and for all.
Well, things are becoming interesting. I presume you've considered the implications of the testimony you're proposing. In particular, the impact it will have on the accused's standing, and indeed your own.
I have. Lord Van Zeeks, would you care to explain that last remark?
The prosecution accepts the defense's proposal. I move to interrupt the cross-examination of the current witness and hear from the accused herself.
Very well, if you have no objection. So, the court will now hear the testimony of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. You witnesses currently in the stand may step down until further notice. Then I shall bid you good day.
Wait. You, sir, shall remain in the stand while Miss Lestrade testifies.
Huh? As you wish. All right then, Gina. It's time. I know this will be hard. Please, put your faith in me here.
Good luck, Runo.
All right, here we go. Things are going to get nasty. I'm going to tell you that right now.
The articles that Mr. McGilded had deposited in Windibank's pawnbrokery are intimately related with the omnibus case, the trial of which was heard in this courtroom 2 months ago. Yes, and I remember this young lady being brought before me in that trial as well. That's right, my lord. Her testimony helped to establish the innocence of the defendant, Mr. McGilded.
The The omnibus case was intriguing, to say the least. And now here we all are again, the same players in that trial facing each other once more. A twist of fate, perhaps, my Nipponese friend.
Allow me to recap the events of 2 months ago. An old brickmaker was stabbed to death in an omnibus running along London's winter streets. Apart from the victim, there was only one other person in the carriage, Mr. McGilded. Naturally, he was the prime suspect for the murder. But as the trial progressed, another possibility emerged, that the murder in fact took place above the defendant's head on the roof deck, with the body then being dropped through the skylight into the carriage below. It was Miss Lestrade whose testimony brought that possibility to light. At the time of the incident, Miss Lestrade was concealed under a seat in the carriage, hoping to pick the pockets of unsuspecting passengers. Then, immediately after the trial, having been acquitted of the murder, Mr. McGilded died in this very courtroom in the most extraordinary of circumstances.
A mystery that remains unsolved even now, 2 months on, as indeed does the omnibus murder itself.
Be that as it may, I recall neither the disc nor this small box being mentioned in the course of those proceedings. Miss Lestrade? Would you tell the court now, please? What really happened in the omnibus 2 months ago, I mean?
I don't know what you mean. I already said all of what I know.
And what about everything you told us yesterday from inside your prison cell?
Huh?
Please, Miss Lestrade, this is extremely important.
But
Remember, little girl, if it transpires that you willfully withheld information in the trial 2 months ago, the Home Office will seek to prosecute you for perjury. And naturally, you will lose all credibility as a witness. Although, let's face facts, you have little credibility to lose.
Jenny, don't listen to him! Please, you have to trust Runo now!
Iris,
We're on your side!
alright then. I'll talk.
It's the right choice, Gina.
Well, it would seem that my learned friend is hell-bent on bringing the entire courtroom down about his ears. So be it.
I must confess that I'm struggling to understand what on earth is happening here. However, it would appear that Mr. McGilded's pawned articles and the extraordinary case of the omnibus harbor secrets of which we have been hitherto unaware. So, Miss Lestrade, you will now give your testimony before the court about the events of 2 months ago. You will reveal the truth, a commodity sorely lacking in your original statements. This is it, then. Everything's going to come out. Like Van Zeke said. This could bring the whole courtroom down about my ears. But as a lawyer, I'm prepared to take that risk.
Here we go. Witness testimony. The real truth of the omnibus case.
Truth is, that brickmaker cub was in the cabin of the omnibus the whole time. When the Irishman dragged me out from under the seat, I saw that disc on the floor. All of a sudden, I heard a scream from over me head, and that pair on the roof deck went off to call the slops. That's when McGilded slipped the driver some tin to do a run to the pawn shop roundabout. He threatened me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one about what I'd seen or heard.
Good grief, this is outrageous. What you've just told the court bears almost no resemblance to your testimony 2 months ago.
As you say, my lord.
then there's every chance I may have adjudicated an error in McGilded's trial. Sounds very much to me as if the man deliberately deceived this court in an effort to cover up the most wicked of schemes.
Without doubt, your lordship is correct. A great injustice was done in this courtroom 2 months ago. The actions of the accused in that trial of this witness and of my learned friend are entirely inexcusable.
I don't believe it. The whole trial was a farce. It was all lies. That McGilded fellow was rotten to the core. It's like a pickpocket.
Don't forget that lawyers from the East, they're all in on it together.
You're wrong, the lawyer. Mr. Naruto, the lawyer there, he didn't know nothing about it.
Humbug.
I don't think so. Are we really expected to believe that?
He really stitched everyone up, didn't he? What an operation to get the man off scot-free.
Unforgivable. Stop. The lies have to stop. Stop. Yes, the defense made a terrible error of judgment. I intend to take full responsibility and suffer whatever consequences are deemed appropriate. However, it's imperative that the court allows the witness to elaborate on her testimony, because the true significance of McGilded's pawned articles must be brought to light.
Very well, my learned student friend. Given the depths of calamity you have just plunged yourself into, this may well be worth hearing.
Words fail me. This situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruto. Yes, my lord. I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial. Of course, my lord.
Blimey, Mr. Naruto.
Now, counsel, proceed with the cross-examination.
Okay, so is there a contradiction here or what?
Wait a second.
What is this?
We're going to keep going.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Truth is, that brickmaker cub was in the cab in the omnibus the whole time. When the Irishman dragged me out from under the seat, I saw that disc on the floor. All of a sudden, I heard a scream over my head, and that pair on the roof deck went in to call the slops. That's when McGilded slipped the driver's tin to do a run to the pawn shop round.
Yep. Hang on. Hold it! And you were hiding in the cabin at the time as well? You were hiding in the cabin at the time as well, weren't you, Miss Lestrade? If I remember rightly, in the storage compartment underneath one of the seats?
Yeah, that's right. It's pitch black under there, so you can't see nothing at all.
I can't pursue him yet.
Nope.
Now, in your testimony 2 months ago, I feel certain that you claimed Mr. McGilded was the sole passenger, did you not?
False testimony, my lord.
It's what he told me I had to say.
Not yet. I see the story you can tell us.
Excuse me! Is there something you'd like to share with the court, Inspector Gregson and Mr. Graydon? Inspector! Mr. Graydon!
Blimey! You tried to give me a heart attack!
You have been whispering to each other for quite some time now. Tell us, what is the discussion about?
Discussion? With this fella? Pull the other one, sunshine! You think I've got anything to talk about with a shaded jet like that?
And I have nothing to say to this uncouth detective after he deprived me of that disc that was rightfully mine. But they've clearly been talking the entire time I've been cross-examining Gina. It's as if they've been negotiating. You will kindly refrain from talking amongst yourselves while the witness is giving testimony.
Yes, sorry, my lord.
What were those two talking about? Miss Lestrade, continue with your testimony, please.
The Irishman dragged me out from under the seat. I saw that disc on the floor.
Hold it. Was the disc you saw this disc? Yeah,
I reckon it... Yeah, I
reckon it
probably was. It's right next to the cove lying on the floor.
could this disc have belonged to the victim, perhaps?
I don't know, but Mr. McGill did pick it up pretty smartish. And then he set the cove with a knife his belly up on the seat.
What did he say to you at that time?
He told me not to say a word about what I'd seen or heard to no one. About the disc and all. He's dead scared. The way he was looking at me, I thought. If I didn't go along with it, I'd get stuck with that knife too. Then he started asking me a load of questions. Like what my name was and where I lived and that. He asked me about being a diver too.
But after a while, what had happened in the carriage was noticed.
Yeah, that's right. First there was a kind of a rapping noise. All of a sudden I heard a scream from over my head, and that pair on the roof deck went to call the slops.
Hold it. There were two gentlemen occupying the seats on the roof deck, I believe.
That's right. They must have looked down through the skylight and noticed a cove with a knife in his guts. They screamed, the driver pulled up their horses, and Miguel had got me out of sight.
Out of sight? Where?
Back under the seat where I started off. Once the carriage come to an halt, the two cops from the roof ran off to fetch the slops.
If they immediately left to fetch the police, it would appear they were entirely unrelated to the incident.
So that left McGilded, the driver, and you still at the scene.
Yeah, only the driver didn't know I was there because I was under the seat. I heard the cabin door open and a voice from outside.
The driver, yes, he also testified in the trial, I believe. A fellow who went by the name of Beppo, if memory serves. What did McGilded and the driver say to each other?
I don't know what happened and stuff like that, mainly. That's when McGill did slip the driver some tin to do a run at a pawn shop roundabout.
Hold it. That pawn shop obviously being Windibank's on Baker Street. Just a moment, counsel. Do you mean to tell me that the driver gave false testimony in that trial as well?
Perhaps the excursion to the pawnbrokery slipped his mind when he was in a stand.
Indeed, Lord Van Zeeks.
McGildy took off his coat and gave it to the driver. He folded it up all careful like before handing it over. When I saw him do that, I remember thinking, that coat and what's in it's got to be worth a few bob.
Yes, Gina was sure that this must be worth more than Mr. Windibank was suggesting, wasn't she? I remember her quibbling with him over the price that afternoon at the pawnbrokery.
Driver looked pretty happy when McGildy flashed some brass in his face. He running off in a lick. Then the bog trotter called me and told me to come out from the drag's cabin. He threatened me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one about what I'd seen or heard.
Hold it. Threatened you how exactly?
Told me I'd only be able to scarp her if I did exactly what he said.
Which included giving false testimony in court 2 months ago.
Yeah, that's it. There's one other thing he said.
Which was?
He told me I'd have to hang on to the ticket from the pawn shop, and to make sure not to lose it.
The ticket? Well, I never.
Said if he didn't show up to get the ticket off me before 2 months passed, I had to go to the pawn shop and pay the money to keep it in lug. Stop it being forfeited. They even let me with some brass to pay for it.
But really, why on earth would Mr. McGilded have done such a thing? Depositing his overcoat with a pawnbroker before the arrival of the police? It makes no sense at all. There would seem to be only one logical explanation, my lord. What McGilded had the driver deposit at Windibank's was something he didn't want the police to see. Something very important that he needed to hide at all costs.
Anyway, after that, he let me go. So I legged it before the coppers showed up.
Well done, Gina. Can't have been easy to tell the truth like that.
She's really put her faith in you, Runo.
Yes, and to thank her, she'll have to face a charge of perjury once this trial's over. So I need to use the time we have now to get as much information out of her as possible.
It's time to really go for it. Press her on every statement.
Make a cop was in the cabin in the omnibus the whole time.
Hold it. And you were hiding in the cabin at the time as well, weren't you, Miss Lestrade? If I remember rightly, in the storage compartment underneath one of the seats?
Yeah, that's right. It's pitch black under there, so you can't see nothing at all.
Now, in your testimony 2 months ago, I feel certain that you claimed Mr. McGilded was the sole passenger, did you not?
False testimony, my lord.
That's what he told me he had to say.
But it's important that you tell us the truth now. Were Mr. McGilded and the victim acquaintances?
I don't know. But I did hear him talking a lot.
What were they talking about?
Well, I couldn't hear too well, but if I had to say, I think it was about money or something. They kept talking about buying and not buying.
Perhaps business dealings of some kind.
Well, anyway, they got louder and louder. Started to sound like a proper fight. I was pretty scared by then. I hardly dared to breathe. And then all of a sudden, I heard a noise like someone keeling over on the floor. It's blooming loud and all.
And I believe you let out an involuntary scream.
Yeah, that's what gave me away.
Thank you, Miss Lestrade. Thank you, counsel. I've heard enough. I believe we now have a reasonable understanding of what actually transpired on the omnibus.
It would appear that that night 2 months ago, a negotiation was taking place on the omnibus. A negotiation concerning this disc. However, matters did not run smoothly. When the parties involved began to quarrel over price, McGilded took what he wanted by force, at the expense of the other man's life.
Which proves my point. The disc is clearly extremely valuable in some way. Although I don't understand why as yet.
And 2 days ago, precisely 2 months after the omnibus incident, McGilded's coat and its contents were due to be forfeited.
I didn't know what I should do with the ticket. I mean, the cop died right after his trial. I knew that.
So you decided you would try to claim the articles as your own.
Well, why not, eh? They were only going to be forfeited. Why shouldn't I have got them? Anyway, you can't blame me for thinking about it. Thinking ain't no crime.
Miss Lestrade, it would appear Mr. McGilded was prepared to kill in order to take possession of this disc. Do you know why that would be?
Hey, I ain't got a clue. I reckon it must be worth a fair bit of brass. He was probably gonna sell it. And you can't blame me for thinking that. Thinking ain't no crime.
My lord, the evidence your lordship requested has been located and is ready for the court's inspection, sir.
What?
The mysterious little box deposited by McGilded 2 months ago. There's no doubt in my mind that it's a key piece in this far-reaching puzzle. And so, yep, we have reached the end of the road, kids. A little late, but totally worth it.
What's that comment over there?
The artillery twins.
Oh, right,
It's
yeah.
the same one from before.
Yeah, we're gonna cut it right here, folks. Tune in next week for the conclusion of this gripping trial.
Yep, and trust me, kids, you're gonna want to see it. So, for the package, Andrew Steele, aka the Cannon, I am the Cannonball, Alex Steele,
We are the Steel Twins,
and we are for real. Top guys